Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Founders Cut episode of LIA Season 5, our final episode before we go on to our holiday break. Jay, naaalala mo ba yung ating episode nung Season 3 na wherein we dedicated one episode on retirement?
Yes.
Kaya lang we realized that hindi pala kasyang one episode because leaders still have many retirement-related questions and concerns that are needed to be addressed. So for tonight, we will have a part 2 of our retirement session.
Good evening, Mr. IB, and good evening to all our dear friends of Leaders in Action. Tama ka, Mr. IB. Mukhang hindi mauubos ang mga questions regarding this very relevant and timeless subject matter. Especially now that it is again the planning and goal setting season. So sana hindi lamang mga targets at budgets ang magiging focus ng ating mga leaders and advisors, but hopefully they can also spend some serious time working on their own retirement planning.
Yeah, totally agree with that kasi panay sometimes production targets, minsan nakakalimutan yung personal financial planning targets. No? Tonight, we will share additional inputs about this important topic. And we are very pleased because to help us facilitate this interesting discussion, we are happy to have with us as our guest interviewer, the Manila Zone Head of AIA Philippines, Miss Jenny Santos.
Yee! Hi, Jen.
Yon.
Hi, good evening, Sir Ivy, and good evening, Miss
Hello.
Ray. A
Hello.
pleasant evening as well sa lahat po ng mga leaders natin sa ating Leaders in Action community. Diba? I am grateful to be part of your Founders Cut episode today, this being our last episode for Season 5. But before we talk about what is in store for our Leaders in Action friends natin, allow me to take this opportunity to thank you both, Sir IB, Miss J, for this platform. This platform really serves as a guide, and most importantly, ito po ay parang source of inspiration as our leaders go through their leadership journey. How time flies, di po ba, since you started this advocacy with each episode leaving a mark sa mga leaders po natin na talaga namang may impact sa kanilang mindset, heart set, and pati rin sa skill set nila dahil, di ba, sa dami po ng mga stories na na-feature natin. So please allow me also to take this opportunity not to thank the leaders who graciously and generously shared their stories with all of us. So hats off po sa lahat po na naimbita natin dito sa ating Leaders in Action. And our roads led us here today. As you mentioned, Sir IB, this is not the first time that you will be talking about this topic that we are going to have today. Just quickly, we bring our audience back to March of this year, wherein you both talked about retirement. For some of you who are joining our conversation today, and the rest of the Leaders in Action community who probably did not get the chance to watch that episode. Okay, you may visit, magpa-plug po ako ha, Sir IB and Ms. G, okay lang sa inyo. You may visit the Leaders in Action Facebook page po, and you're just a click away to make yourself be part of our Season 3 conversation. Pwede nyo pong balikan yon. So please do watch that episode as the first part of our retirement conversation. Ms. J, earlier you also mentioned as the episode 3 conversation on retirement may already have been extensive. We also know that there are still a lot of questions about retirement. Ito po mga questions na to coming from those who are still planning for their retirement, and even questions that may also come from retirees themselves, right? Because for some people, they probably thought they prepared for their retirement well until they're hit with the challenges of their current reality. So therefore, this topic that we are having today is definitely relevant for those, again, who are still planning for retirement, and even for our retirees. So once again, thank you to both of you for coming up with part 2 of your retirement talk. Now, part 1 talked about retirement planning. As they say, retirement has nothing to do with our age or the number of years that we've been working. However, retirement has a lot to do with our readiness to live through our retirement years along with everything that it comes with. Considering po yung whole person concept, no,
Yes.
while we'll not really talk about or while we'll not really be able to cover all
Every-
concepts, right? Tonight, we will touch on what we'll touch on will really be very helpful. And there should certainly be a continuous conversation on retirement even after today.
Yes,
Now, while
very good.
retirement, yes, correct. Now, while retirement is considered to be very important, yung atin pong experience in the past 3 years made us all realize the necessity of having a real and honest to goodness retirement plan. No, this was magnified most especially during the pandemic when a lot of people felt what semi-retired, resulting from the challenges, the complications, and the limitations brought about by the pandemic, of course, that caught us all by surprise. And yet, how grateful we are that today we have time to prepare, right?
That's true.
Learning from the past 3 years experience and preparation is not just about setting aside no, a particular amount of money, but considering how much nga ba is enough that will allow us to continue living the life we have been used to or maintain no the same standard of living or in fact kung pwede nga no if we only have a choice, 'di ba, a better lifestyle if we can. As both of you are currently in retirement and you would be able to attest that retirement is definitely not just about having funds, right?
That's
But
true.
it's really all about finding also no your second wave in life. So tonight we'll pick your brains if you're okay with that as you share your thoughts and insights with us on the topic of retirement because we will talk about the other issues that we should all be aware of as we plan for our own retirement. But of course, before we start our retirement talk, I'm sure excited na po kayong magkwento dahil sanay po talaga kayo sa ganitong klaseng kwentuhan. Ako po at ang ating pong audience ngayon, no, I'm sure would like to first know how are you both doing since you are already experiencing yung sinasabi natin na second wave in life? How have you been treating life lately? Ganun na daw po yung tanong ngayon. Baliktad na po, no? Hindi na how has life been treating you because you don't have that option. How have you been treating life? Probably we'll start with you, Sir IB, and then Miss G may go next.
Yeah, thanks Jenny again for being with us tonight ha. Well, kung ako tatanungin mo, ang answer ko lang dyan, I'm very busy in retirement. I just wish to make a point that retirement does not mean that you will not be doing anything.
Yeah.
Kasi kapag wala kang ginagawa, at a certain point nakakabore yan, madedepress ka at mag-stagnate ang utak mo. O kaya naman, pag nakikialam ka sa ginagawa ng iba, kasi wala kang magawa, di ba? Ay mag-aaway lang kayo. Pero the kind of busyness in retirement is different from the busy at work. Busy ako mag-enjoy sa company of my family, clan and friends. Busy kami mag-discover ng mga bagong kainan. Busy kaming mag-explore ng bagong lugar. Busy kami mag-isip ng family projects. Busy ako mag-exercise, mag-golf. Minsan nag-resource speaker on leadership and retirement planning. Magbasa, magsulat, at mag-volunteer work. In short, I'm busy, pero busy to do the things that I want to do at this stage in my life. And I thank the Lord for that and for my ability, for my privilege of planning for my retirement.
Wow. A
Oo.
meaningful life pre-retirement and even more meaningful day-to-day, no, while you are enjoying your retirement years. Thanks, Sir IB. How about you, Miss J? How have you been treating life lately?
Well, I'm doing also good, no, as Mr. IB mentioned. Ngayon talagang I am enjoying ito lately, no, yung physical reconnection with friends and families, no, after ng mga quarantines and mga lockdowns. So talagang doon ko na-realize how I miss, no, yung mga meetups, no. So na-enjoy ko talaga siya. Pangalawa, I am so thankful for all the learnings, no, that we have gotten from all the sharings ng mga leaders natin dito sa Leaders in Action. No? Sabi mo nga, Jen, siguro kami ni Mr. Ivy, when we were thinking about this, hindi namin masyadong na-imagine kung gaano pala yung magiging impact, no, and how this platform can really be an instrument doon sa mga learning, sa mga insights na mga nakuha natin, no, doon sa mga guests natin, ng mga leaders. At nakakataba ng puso yung mga feedbacks na naririnig namin doon sa mga audience namin at kung paano sila natulungan nito. So talagang very thankful ako, no, for this platform that has been provided to us. And of course, no, I'm also very grateful for all the new opportunities, no, just like Mr. IB, that has been keeping me busy and productive. No? So sabi nga, talagang dapat pag ikaw ay nag-retire, totoo pala to, no? Hindi dapat lamang financially ka prepared, but also psychologically, mentally, kasi talagang kapag hindi mo na-manage to, magiging very drastic, no, ang magiging pagbabago ng buhay, no? But because of proper planning, we can arrest that, no, and address that from the start, no? So sabi nga nila, I am retired but not tired. So tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang mga activities. So far, Jenny, life has been much better for me.
Gusto ko yun. I am retired but not tired, di ba? And you're able to connect to a lot of people now because of this platform, and at the same time, coming off from the pandemic years natin, no, this really is the best time to be with friends, be amongst family members, and more so, di ba, reaching out to as many because of the conversations that we are having, no, dito po sa Leaders in Action. So I have a series of questions here. I'd like us to already get into that, but I'd like to check with both of you if we are already good to go, no, with our questions. We can begin our conversation.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
All right. Okay. Sige. The first question I'm going to ask Sir IB. No, Sir IB, I know that when we talk about retirement systems, alam natin na nagva-vary yan depending sa country, right? For us and our audience, most especially, to have a better appreciation of what we have here sa Pilipinas, no, in the Philippines. How does our retirement system compare with the retirement system in the other countries?
Thanks, Jen, for the question. Siguro pwede natin gamitin yung Mercer CFA Institute Global Pension Index. Actually, it is an annual study of 44 countries' pension systems, covering practically 65% of the world's population. No? Itong study compares the retirement systems of 44 countries around the world. Tapos hina-highlight nila anong areas for improvement, ano yung actions that can be taken para mas gumanda yung kanilang retirement system. Ang sabi nila, the best retirement system is one that helps the individuals to maintain their previous lifestyle. So hindi mada-downgrade yung quality of life pag nag-retire. Itong Global Pension Index na to ng Mercer and CFA, based on 3 components. Number 1, adequacy of the benefit. Sapat ba? Number 2, yung ability to keep paying into the future. Nandiyan pa ba yan for the longest of time? And number 3, integrity, which is about governance. No? Kaya lang, based on the latest reports which came out October, nakakalungkot nga because the Philippine retirement system is the second worst in the world. Number 43 tayo out of 44, no? With an overall score of 42 out of 100. So it's really quite dampening in the spirit. Ang implication nito actually is for individuals must really take charge of their retirement planning as early as possible kasi yung dalawang other pillars, government and private, parang medyo hindi masyadong dependable at this point, no? Tapos alam naman natin ang social security natin mababa sa umpisa, tapos hindi naman nag-a-adjust sa inflation. In some other countries, kapag may inflation, automatic ina-adjust nila yung benefits ng social security. Tapos ngayon, we know that inflation is very high and we do not know where the economy is going. So it makes it even harder for individuals, di ba, to save for retirement. Tapos ang nangyayari pa ay many narinig siguro natin to, maraming kumpanya umaalis na doon sa defined benefit plans na pag nag-retire ka meron kang siguradong matatanggap. Ngayon they're going into what they call defined contribution. Walang guaranteed ano yon, benefit. Depende yon sa performance ng investments na pinasukan ng tao, no? So therefore, because our retirement system is not as good as the others and needs a lot of improvement, it becomes even more vital for individuals to understand about retirement planning so that they can already take the needed steps para they will live in comfort and with dignity during the retirement.
Right. Very insightful and at the same time disturbing.
Mhm.
No? I mean, among
Mm.
all 44 countries, where we are at 43rd really means that it can be a sad fact. Pero yun nga eh, no? Now that we're talking about it, how do we make sure that given
Mm.
this situation, what do we need to do to make sure that we'll be able to provide ourselves what we need without necessarily depending so much on yung medyo
Yes.
wala naman tayong nakukuha. I'd like to double click on that. No, when we talk
Mm.
about our retirement system here in the Philippines, I'd like to get your thoughts on this, Miss J. Although Sister Ivy talked about the social security system, no, kanina. Miss J, ano po yung thoughts ninyo specifically on social security and employer retirement benefits? Do you think po ba that these are adequate to fund a comfortable retirement?
Nako, unfortunately, they are not adequate. No, they are not enough. Take for instance the SSS or Social Security System, which Mr. Ivy talked about earlier. At nakaka-disturb ito kasi majority of our workforce are depending on this for their retirement benefit. No, alam mo ba, Jenny, that a retiree can only receive a law of 2,000 to a maximum of 18,495 monthly pension. Okay, so yun lang ang pwede mong matanggap. So sabihin na natin nandoon ka sa maximum of 18,495. Considering your daily needs, 'di ba, yung mga bills na kailangan mong bayaran because when you retired hindi naman titigil ang mga bayarin, 'di ba? Plus the fact na may mga additional medications ka na. So even without any scientific formula, one can already say na 18,495 is not enough, no? Kung ito lang talaga ang babasihan natin as retirement. It can be a sweeter story for those who have company provided benefit packages, 'di ba? Pero again, sabi nga ni Mr. IB, consider mo yung inflation rate, 'di ba? Consider mo na karamihan dun sa retirement funds natin ay nakalagay sa mga investment instruments or vehicles that is not giving us interest, no, higher than the inflation rate. So anong ibig sabihin, no, 'di ba? So delikado rin yung funds natin doon. At idagdag pa natin yung bagong study, no, that was found out na yung ating life expectancy ng mga Pilipino, no, ay humaba to age 71 years old already. So anong ibig sabihin noon? More years as retiree ka. So, ibig sabihin, dapat mas mahaba yung fund mo, mas madami yung fund mo para ma-support yan. So, kung titignan natin ito, again, sadly, no, even with these two, thankful tayo na meron, pero they're just not enough. No, they're just not enough. Of course, sabi nga ni Mr. Ivy kanina, downgrading your lifestyle, okay, that can be an option. But the question is that what we really want to do? No, is that what we really want to have? No, 'di ba dapat kapag ikaw ay retired, mas maluwag, 'di ba? Dapat mas hayahay na yung buhay natin. So talagang dapat as earlier as we can pagplanuhan natin ang ating retirement.
Yeah, you know what's funny? When you talked about very specific figures, it can go as low as 2,000 pesos or can go as high but still low at 18,000 pesos. You know what flashed? Alam mo, saan ka dadalhin na 20 mo? Because
Yeah.
really, exactly, no, with the many expenses, when that time comes that you retire, yung lifestyle is something na baka nga mas dadami pa yung expenses mo because there will be a lot of things that you will need to take care of when that time comes. Both of you actually were in that same system, right? We're talking about social security system even during your time, no? If you can just bring us back to the many years prior to your retirement up until your decision to retire, sorry, nahiya ko doon. No pun intended on the many years back po ha. I hope okay lang sa inyong dalawa.
No.
Oo, di ba? But how did you really, I know you just retired not that long ago, but the preparation came, di ba? The preparation happened many years back. That was what I was referring to. How did you prepare yourself for your retirement? If you can walk us through your retirement planning experience. Maybe we can hear from you, Sir Ivy muna, no? Walk us through your retirement planning experience po, Sir Ivy. Kumusta po ba yun at the time that, you were like really looking, how would you want to retire and what needs to be done to get there?
I planned really early, Jenny. Mid-20s pa lang ako, I was already conscious to save for retirement. Kasi at that age, ayoko kasing tumanda na aasa sa iba. Lalo-lalo na sa mga anak because I know that they will have their own lives and they will have their own challenges to face. No, I do not want to be a burden to anyone pagtanda ko. Kaya naman, I was already buying AIG shares. Kahit patingi-tingi lang kasi mababa lang ang sweldo ko doon. Bibili ako ng shares. Siguro maabot lang ng 2 shares, 3 shares. Okay na yon. Pero ini-earmark ko na yung ganong kaliit really for my retirement. No? Sa umpisa, wala namang science. Wala nga akong target. Bara-bara lang. I just said to myself, sige, kung ano hindi mo magastos, ibili mo ng AIG shares, baka katulong yan sa matagal na panahon, no? Sabi ko nga, mababa lang ang sweldo ko noon. Pero na-develop yung habit of savings. Ayun ang mahalaga eh. Pero unfortunately, alam naman natin to, biglang nawala yun because of the financial crisis, di ba? So I had to start all over again. Pero when I started all over again, may science na, saka may target na. Ibig sabihin, alam ko na kung ano yung hahabulin ko. Kasi mahalaga yun eh, hindi yung bara-bara. And then, saka, so therefore, I know how much I would have to save every month, no? Ang nakatulong sa akin ng husto, yung automatic deduction from salary. At meron kasing, may provident fund yun. So hulog ng hulog. Sa totoo lang, inayawan na ako ng provident fund kasi lumampas na ako sa maximum contribution eh. Tapos nauso yung mutual fund. So automatic din ba, di ba? Meron tayong automatic investment sa mutual fund. So nakatulong yon. Tapos kahit nalugay ako sa AIG shares, nung inopen naman ng AIA yung kanilang shares, the automatic deduction din doon. Nakatulong yon. So as my salary increase, siyempre, dahil may habit ako, may amount of savings, automatic na rin nag-i-increase, no? Tapos later on, yung science, ito na, yung magda-diversify ka na ng investment, may real estate, may bonds, merong offshore equities, meron din foreign currencies, di ba? So in summary, I started very early and kept the discipline of saving throughout my career. So ngayon, katulad kami ni Jay, yung savings namin, no? Kahit gumastos kami, merong pambayad because of the savings that we accumulated through the years.
Yes, meron pa palang extra, Sir Ivy, baka pwede nyo na po akong i-adapt kasi kaya naman po. No? I think very relevant what you shared. No? It pays to start early. It does not matter whether how much amount you set aside. You can actually start small, or if you have the extra funds, you can put in something that's big for you based on your standards. But again, the habit of setting aside is what really matters. No, you talked about some financial instruments earlier. Hopefully, those who are listening sa ating pong conversation today would also do some research. Ano po bang ibig sabihin ng mga instruments na yan and how it will be able to help them? So I'm sure after listening to you, they do that research as well. Miss J, was it the same experience for you po?
Yes, almost the same kami ni Mr. Ivy, no. Sa akin lang, I'm very thankful na talagang na-open ang eyes ko, no, both eyes ko when I joined the insurance industry, no, when I joined the career, because dito talaga ako na educate, no, dito talaga ako naging aware, no, on the importance, no, of financial planning, no. Early on, natuto ako doon sa 70-30 rule. Okay, iyon lang talaga yung inadapt ko, no, kasi bagong-bago pa lang ako sa insurance noon. Yun yung isa sa unang napakinggan ko, no, na financial tips, no. So, yun lang, every salary ko 70% goes to my now na gastusin and 30% goes to savings, so as well as retirement, no. So yun lang yung aking sinunod. Sabi nga ni Mr. Ivy, regardless kung ano yung sweldo ko, tumaas siya, no, 70-30 pa rin yung aking sinusunod, no, because I have to impose that on myself kasi wala akong masyadong discipline pa no, at that time. Kasi talagang kapag hindi ko ginawa yon, ang tendency talagang yung fund ko ngayon magagastos ko sa lahat ng kailangan ko ngayon. No? But following that 70-30 helped me a lot. No? Second, yung sinabi ni Mr. IB, nag-diversify din ako. Saan ko nilalagay yung 30%? Dito ko binake down, no? Kasi meron din tayong mga savings na dapat short term, no? Yung dapat may liquid ka anytime, no? Yung emergency funds mo, no? Yung mga immediate na mga gastusin, nakatago lang yan sa akin sa bangko. Okay? Very clear sa akin yan. Sa bangko lang yan nakalagay, yung mga short terms ko. Meron din ako mga mid terms, no? Ito yung mga parang pangbiyahe namin next year. Okay? Kunyari, yung pang tuition fee, kasi yung tuition fee naman hindi pa kahit meron ka educational plan, normally college yan yung pang elementary, no, yung tuition fee, pang mid yan, okay? So saan ko yan nilalagay? Sa mga mutual funds o kaya time deposit na 6 month, no, 1 year, no, na magmamature, no. So doon ko siya nilagay. And of course, yung long term ko, ito yung aking retirement, no, ito yung mga big purchases talaga, no, at yung mga medyo grand na mga vacations, okay, dito ko inilalagay sa mga long term ko naman. Of course, there's life insurance, lalo na no nauso na talaga yung VUL, no. So thankful ako kasi meron na akong insurance, meron pa akong investment fund, no. And of course, nung natututo na rin ako ng konti sa stocks, no, and of course ito, nag-real properties din ako, no. So doon ako nag-diversify, no. And sabi nga ni Mr. IB, no, inadapt ko rin yun, no, yung discipline na nagpapa-monthly deduction ako talaga yung sa mutual fund, no. Aside from the provident fund, yung mutual fund talagang X amount, no, inilalagay ko. Alam mo, Jen, when I retired, I even forgot about that. No? Na meron pala akong nilalagay na gano'n. So nagulat ako nung pinaprocess na yung aking retirement. Boom! Meron akong ganitong instant amount na yung pala ay katas ng aking monthly na hindi ko na siya napansin. No? So that's how I basically prepared, no, financially, no, sa aking retirement.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. J, for sharing that. No, magandang pakinggan yung 70%, no, 70-30 rule. Pero I think for most of us, kailangan talaga ng matinding commitment yan, and at the same time, discipline, di ba? To really make sure that we're able to make the 70-30 rule happen para sa atin. But of course, you mentioned it was not as easy, but that, no, yung disiplina niyo po really paved the way to bring you where you are today. You talked about diversification. I think it's good that you also touched on making sure, and parang you shared how defined yung financial goals mo, and you linked that, kung eto yung financial goals ko, anong instruments, no, ang kailangan meron akong paglagyan to make sure that I'll be able to get the funds that will be needed when the need arises. And I think that's also linked to what Sir IB shared kanina dun sa mga financial instruments na yon. And I'm also grateful to know, no, that you're happy to have been in the industry that taught you all these. But for those who are listening in, part of our conversation today, they may not be in the life insurance industry, but they don't have to be in the life insurance industry to be able to, start a retirement plan, because hearing from both of you, I'm sure there are a lot of things that can be picked up from there already. Now, Sir IB, if you talked about laying out, no, yung mga plans po natin for retirement. So if plans have been laid out, is it enough, no, na kung laid out po yung plans, that would already merit peace of mind? But really, how do we know when we are on track when it comes to our retirement planning goals? So pag nakaplano na lahat, can I really be able to sleep at night? But again, paano ko ba malalaman na on track ako sa retirement planning ko? Sir IB, gustong-gusto ko po talagang mag-sleep na lang.
Ito ako marunong magbasa ng lips ha, Jen. Mahalaga talagang ita-track mo yung progress mo kung lumalapit ka sa goal mo, di ba? Parang ano yan, for those who are staying in Luzon, pag pupunta ka ng Baguio and you know that it takes 5 hours from Manila because of traffic, no? Kailangan you have to have a guide to let you know kung aabot ka doon within 5 hours. So, nung nagbabiyahe ko doon, normally naglalagay ako ng milestone. Pampanga, Tarlac, tapos Pangasinan. Then sabi ko sa sarili ko, pag nasa Pampanga ako ng within 1 hour and 45 minutes, abot ako. Pag nasa Tarlac na ako, tapos nakakatatlong oras pa lang ako, abot na ako. Sa Pampanga, pag 4 hours and below, abot talaga ako sa destination ko on time. Ganyan. Mahalaga yung guidepost kasi malalaman mo kung ano yung next step mo, di ba? Kunwari, if I were already in Pampanga in let's say 1 hour lang. So ibig sabihin, kailangan pwede ako mag-stop over na mas mahaba, bagalan ko yung takbo ng kotse, mag-relax na ako, di ba? No, similarly, ganun din sa financial planning. Noong panahon ko, walang ganito eh. Ngayon, meron ng milestone na sinasuggest ang mga financial experts na pwedeng sabihin sa'yo, if you're on this at this stage, you have confidence that you'll be able to achieve your goal. Ang isang pratikong ginagamit, yung galing sa Fidelity Investments. Ito kasi, multiple of your income at a certain age. Okay? So, ang sabi niya ganito, if you're age 30, dapat nakaipon ka na ng 1 year of your annual income. If you're age 40, 3 times of your annual income. Age 50, 6 times. Age 60, mag-graduate ka sa retirement niyan, 8 times, and 65, you already have 10 times of your annual income. Example, if at age 40, yung income mo at that time is 3 million, dapat meron ka nang naipon by that time close to 9 million. And if you have that amount, medyo may laban ka, pag nag-retire ka, you have enough funds for your retirement, no? So, pag malapit ka dyan sa amount na yan, you can say na, well, I'm on track, no? So, ibig sabihin, financial milestones will help us adjust our actions, di ba? Kasi pagdating mo kunwari ng age 40, ang layo mo pa sa 3 times, sabay papaspas ka ng takbo. Yun ang kagandahan, no? And I've said, during my time in planning for retirement, wala nito eh. Buti nga ngayon, meron na eh. So sana pakinabangan nung nagpaplano for retirement.
Yes, I actually really like that, no? Making sure na hindi, well, you know exactly where you want to be. So kaya nga very important that you plan for it. But it does not end there, di ba? Hindi na automatic that will give you peace of mind, because I think every step of the way along your journey towards your retirement, it's very important that you track your milestones so that you'd know, are you really on track? You talked about ano kasi kanina, no? Inflation, although we'll get to that in a bit, it can change, right? It would probably mean that at the time that you were planning it, tama yung number of years no, in planning for your retirement, but because there are things that happen along the way, even the pandemic during the past 3 years, for some people who plan for their retirement, their plans may have altered because of those situations. Now, thank you, Sir Ivy, for sharing that. Miss J, wanting to retire comfortably, as I mentioned, syempre, is the end goal, correct? Or kung sinasabi nga natin kanina, we just don't want sana to retire comfortably. Pwede bang better lifestyle than, how it was for us during our peak earning years?
Yes.
But again, planning for that to happen is imperative. That is really crucial, yung planning stage. On the flip side, okay, which we do not want to happen, what would most likely be the consequences when someone is not able to prepare for his or her retirement?
Ang nakakalungkot na you will have to continue working. Not because you want it, but because you needed to work. Okay,
Yeah.
because you have to work. No? Kasi nga, may kita natin, yung sabi ko kanina, if you only have the SSS of 18,495 monthly, hindi yun magkakasya. So ano ang default? You have to find work again. Diba? You have to work again to make sure that you have the money to spend, okay? Kasi hindi kaya yung retirement benefit that you have. So, yun lang, no? I mean, there's nothing wrong, no, working after you have retired, no? Because Mr. Ivy and myself somehow are still doing work, okay? But because we want it, diba? And we get to choose what we want to do, okay? Because we can do that. Okay, we can afford to do that. Okay, pero ang mahirap yung magtatrabaho tayo kasi kailangan pa rin natin ulit magtrabaho. So parang tapos ka na sana, kaya ka nga nag-retire, tapos ito na naman magtatrabaho ka ulit, 'di ba? Second is yung pinag-usapan natin kanina, you will be forced to downgrade your lifestyle. 'Di ba? Because again, 18,495, what can it afford you? Diba? So kung ayaw mo na magtrabaho, hindi ka na makapagtrabaho, ano mang gawin mo, sabi nga nila, kailangan mong higpitan ang sinturon para magkasya kung ano ang meron ka. But yun nga yung palagi nating question, yun ba ang gusto natin? Is that the objective? No, you yourself said kanina, ang objective natin pag nag-retire tayo is to continue living the lifestyle that we used to have, or if not, much better. Walang nangarap sa atin na pag nag-retire tayo, 'di ba? Mas magiging mahirap, mas magiging masikip, no, yung ating magiging buhay. Okay? And yung pangatlo na talagang nakakalungkot, no, at sana ay wag mangyari sa ating mga magulang, no, na magre-retire na, ay yung umasa sa ating mga anak, no, o sa ating mga kamag-anak, no ba? Dahil again, hindi natin kayang i-support ang sarili natin. Mr. Ivy said na isa yon sa naging goal niya, na hindi umasa sa anak. Okay? I think lahat ng magulang yun ang gusto, 'di ba? Na maging dependent tayo. In fact, sabi ko nga, ako gusto ko pag naging lola na ako, gusto ko yung aking mga apo, no, pupunta pa rin palagi sa akin.
You.
Yes, no, 'di ba? Bibisitahin na, tapos ako yung magiging doting grandmother, okay? At hindi ako yung iiwasan na grandmother, no? Kasi hihingi na naman ako ng pansustento sa buhay ko, 'di ba? So, yun ang ano natin, no? So, lagi natin 'to sinasabi at naririnig natin 'to, responsibilidad ng magulang na isuportahan ng anak, pero hindi obligasyon ng anak na suportahan ng magulang. Okay? They can support their parents because they want to and because they can, no, afford to do that. But they will not support their parents because they are obliged. Okay? That they are obligated. So, yun, yung tatlong nakikita ko, no, na masakit na reality kapag hindi natin napaghandaan mabuti ang ating retirement.
Yeah, right. No, parang, yun nga, no, not having the opportunity to plan for retirement would mean at the time na dumating sa atin yung edad na sa tingin natin we should already be retired, we will not be able to stop work because yun nga, because we need to work, because we need to fund yung expenses natin so that we'll be able to maintain, no, yung standard of living natin. Downgrading the lifestyle, I think is an option. Diba? Meron naman po tayong, if we are able to just have the time to prepare for it, we can actually plan upgrading of a lifestyle instead of downgrading it. And pangatlo, I think a lot of people talked about that, no, pag umasa sa pamilya, would mean a lot of people in the many years back talked about sandwich generation, wherein yung mga anak natin, they're supposed to be taking care of their family, but because their parents probably did not really prepare for retirement, they're also taking care of the family. So we would want to break that cycle. And how we will do that is to make sure that we're prepared when the time comes that we are no longer in our peak earning years, no? So that's what we want to happen. Sir Ivy, kanina, you mentioned, no, a number of times you talked about inflation. Miss J also talked about inflation a number of times earlier. A lot of people also talk a lot about that. Last month, we heard that inflation accelerated and is at a 14-year high. I don't want to scare anyone, but I'm sure there's fear already, no? But people are also talking about recession that's looming, no? Aside from inflation, there's also recession na pinag-uusapan. So, how will inflation and recession impact yung mga current retirees natin ngayon? Or even, how will inflation and recession impact retirement?
Yung sa mga nagpe-prepare pa lang for retirement, ang impact ng inflation, mas malaki yung kanilang dapat na ipunin. Kasi inflation's impact lalo na sa long term malaki, no? Halimbawa, yung 100,000 pesos mo budget a month, no? 20 years from now, kung doon ka magre-retire, ang kailangan mong amount at a 4% inflation lang is 219,000. So dumoble na, di ba? Only at 4%. Eh umaabot na nga ng 8% yung ating inflation rate ngayon, di ba? So kung let's say ang average inflation rate for the next 20 years, sana naman wag mangyari yun. Ang 100,000 ngayon, ang katumbas niyan 20 years from now is almost 500,000. Alright? So anong ibig sabihin niyan? So napakalaki ng iyong iipunin, no? Okay. So for example, if you want your 100,000 lifestyle today to carry over when you retire 20 years from now, and you will be in retirement for 25 years, at 4% inflation, ang iipunin mo is 65 million, alright? Pero kung ang inflation is 8%, ang iipunin mo as a retirement fund is 140 million. So in short, inflation increases the amount that you need to build for your retirement. Doon naman sa sa already retired, eh syempre, normally fixed ang income ng mga yan, 'di ba? So it's either bababa ang quality of life dahil hindi nila ma-increase yung kanilang fixed income o mauubos agad yung kanilang pera. Kasi a person, for example, who saves 25 million, malaki na yan at today, and plans to spend 1.2 million a year, yung pera niya tatagal ng 20 years, no? In a 4% inflation rate environment. Pero kung 8% ang inflation rate in the next several years, hindi 20 years ang itatakbo ng pera niya. 15 years na lang. So mauubos yun. And that is the worst thing that can happen to a retiree. Yung maubusan siya ng pera kasi eto na, aasa na siya sa iba at matanda na siya by the time. But alam mo Jen, for those who are able to plan well, katulad ni Jay, hindi nararamdaman ng inflation yan. Okay? Kasi if ever mararamdaman, kasi i-adjust lang nila yung kanilang discretionary spend. Hindi naman ako magbabiyahe sa Europe, pero magbabiyahe pa rin ako, di ba? So hindi tinatamaan because people who planned well, meron silang buffer. Now, you mentioned about recession. Recession kasi medyo bumabagsak ang ekonomiya, ibig sabihin nun, di ba? Now, actually, maraming retirees nakadepende sa support ng kanilang family members. Ang nakakatakot, a recession can actually mean a retrenchment or loss of job. Paano kung yung inaasahan nila mawalan ng trabaho? Eh di kawawa sila, di ba? Recession also results to closures of business. Maraming mga retirees na kanilang retirement income galing sa negosyo nila. Paano kung because of recession, malugi yung negosyo? Right? So again, that's the risk. Pangatlo, recession can significantly lead to a decline in the financial market. Marami na ring mga retirees, some of their funds nasa equities, correct? So kung nandun sa equities, so baka maubos yung pera nila ng maaga and problema yan. So during recession, it's very important sana that retirees meron silang enough funds that will last them for at least 12 months to wait recession out to grow the economy, no? But again, I want to emphasize, if you planned well and you build enough funds, no? Yung anxiety and pain brought about by inflation and recession, medyo nasasangga mo nasasangga mo.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Planning for retirement is not enough because it is also equally important to factor in inflation and recession in the planning stages, considering that it really is possible that it will happen. So that when that time comes na mangyayari nga po siya, we are ready, diba, to combat the challenges that we'll be facing with kapag nangyari nga po yan. Thank you, Sir Ivy, for sharing that with us. Miss J, in the past, probably those who are ahead of me and even yung generation ko, no, we may think about retirement at a very particular age. Pwedeng I will retire at 60 years old or pwedeng I will retire at 65 years old. A lot of the younger generation now openly talk about early retirement. Diba? Parang naisip ko nga, bakit ako nung dati iniisip ko magre-retire ako at 60 or 65? Bakit yung mga kabataan ngayon nag-iisip ng early retirement, which actually happened to both of you, right? Sir Ivy and Ms. J. So ibig sabihin kasama kayo sa kabataan dahil magkapareho kayo ng wavelength. Diba? Kasama
Yes.
kayo doon sa generation na yon. What do you think will retirement look like for millennials or Gen Zs, most especially na ito po yung mga generations na to, are wanting to retire earlier as compared to those generations ahead of them?
Nako Jenny, makaka-relate ako talaga dyan, no? Kasi itong mga generations na to, hindi naman kami masyado nagkakalayo. No, but seriously, sa lahat ng mga questions mo ngayong gabi na to, dito ako very positive. Okay? I feel positive, no, about how, no, yung prospects ng retirement sa ating mga kabataan. Okay? Why? Because though their lifestyles are different, 'di ba? Sila yung mga you only live once, okay? Sila yung mga experiential, mas gusto nila yung experiences. But it was very evident that the pandemic has really taught them to become more financially conscious and aware, no? In fact, in the recent study, no, that Manulife came up, no, with, nakita natin, no, meron silang maganda yung studies na ni-reveal nila, no. According to that study, 81% of the Gen Ys and Zs have actively, no, made important steps to securing a financially securing a, no, yung future nila financially, no. 81%, that's high, no, both ng Gen Ys at Zs nila. Ito pa, 67% of the millennials have started, no, investing in financial instruments. So hindi lang yung basta nag-iipon, no, sa bangko, but in different financial instruments. So aware na kagad sila, no? 67% of the millennials. 79% are looking for ways to grow their money, no? So hindi lang basta may ipon, but they want, no, yung inipon nila ay nag-earn pa, no, ng pera para sa kanila, no? 77% ito, millennials pa lang sila, ha, Gen Ys pa lang sila at Zs, they are already exploring, no, diversification of their portfolio. So hindi lang isang instrument ang alam nila. Of that 77%, ito, 79% is into life insurance. Okay, so 79% nitong mga millennials na ito, noon mga young ones, ay honored na sila ng life insurance. 78% already subscribed to government savings program. 66% into cryptocurrency. No? So ganun ka-diversify ang kanilang portfolio. 45% may accident insurance. So siguro yung hindi pa maka-afford ng life insurance kahit papaano, no, early form of insurance pa rin yung accident insurance. 38% mutual funds. And 40% they already have their own pension and retirement products, no? So may kita mo na yung millennials, no, yung mga young ones ay talagang sila, very much aware sila. Ito pa, compared sa millennials, itong younger generations, the Gen Zs, they started earlier. Kung yung mga kuya at ate nila na millennials, no, ay nag-umpisang mag-save at the age of 23, yung mga Gen Zs, 17 years old pa lang nagsisave na. Okay? Wow. And at the age of 21, no, ang mga Gen Zs ay nag-i-invest na kumpara sa kanilang mga ate at kuya na millennials na nag-umpisang mag-invest at age 27. So, if these numbers will continue, no, and will even grow, no, magiging very confident tayo, no, and I myself is confident that I think these generations, no, will have a better retirement years ahead of them, no. So tama lang na mas maaga nilang nakikita kung kailan sila magre-retire because ito, nagpaplano sila ng maaga. Although ito, meron tayong syempre marami tayong nakikinig ng mga insurance leaders at advisors natin, 40% pa lang ang nag-o-own ng pension and retirement.
Opportunity is huge.
Yeah, so ang laki-laki pa ng opportunity. 60% pa ng mga kabataan ang kailangan pa nating ma-convince, no, na mag-ipon para sa kanilang retirement.
Wow, very inspiring na stats, no, that you shared, Miss J. Meron naman pala talaga silang karapatan, di ba, as we say, na they can really make that decision to retire early because of their exposure, because of what they know, because of what they've been, investing on. Pwede naman pala talaga silang mag-decide na retiring early is possible for them, no? And again, as you mentioned, for our leaders who are listening now, they can actually invite these, di ba, younger ones to be part of their teams because mas ano no, they're already walking the talk and it's easier to talk about these things, planning for retirement, planning for the future because they themselves are doing it. And at the same time, there are still a lot of people that our leaders can talk to, no, and have meaningful conversations with the younger generation nga dahil the awareness is high. So it's easy
Yes.
but to be talking about these things sa kanila.
I think
Sana,
din,
yes.
malaking factor yung a lot of younger people are already into life insurance, 'di ba? Kasi kung bata ang mga ahente at ang mga leaders, syempre ang natural market nila ay mga bata rin, no? So kaya siguro mas talagang nag-i-increase yung awareness ng public, ng young ones, no, about financial planning.
Yes, and I'm going to link that now to my next question for Sir IB. Sir IB, we cannot turn back the hands of time. Hindi ko na po kayo pababatain. Hindi na kasi tayo makakabalik talaga doon. However, being a retiree yourself, I'm sure a lot can learn from your experience. So if you have a magic mirror, parang si Boy Abunda ito, no? If you have a
Yes.
magic mirror in front of you and you have the opportunity to talk to your younger self, what reminder will you give your younger self to ensure that you will have an amazing retirement?
Well, una muna papaalala ko yung ginawa niya many years ago, no. Number one is always live within your means. Huwag mong parating ikumpara yung buhay mo sa kapitbahay mo. Because if you are so conscious about missing out, baka you might miss out on your retirement. O if you're careful that you will only be living once at gusto mong itodo, paano if you live long? Baka you may live in misery, no, if you if you fail to plan well. Pangalawa is yung always parati mong i-create sa utak mo yung picture mo of dream retirement. And di ba nang bata tayo, tinatanong tayo, what do you want to be when you grow up? Pag adult ka na o millennial ka na o Gen Z, and dapat ang tatanungin mo, what do you want to be when you grow old? Okay? Kasi and keep your answer to your heart. Kapag medyo nagpunta ka sa isang lugar at natetem kang mag-shop ng marami, parang si Jay, hindi ka matetem kasi alam mo, it might deter your long-term goals achievement, 'di ba? Tapos sabihin ko rin sa kanya, okay, ito, keep your emotions in check when making a final decision, financial decision. Ano ko to parang mistake ko to. Bili ako ng property, pero ang aking basihan, dito ako magre-retire, dito ako magre-retire, dito ako may magre-retire. Walang income yun ha. Kasi pinangunahan ako ng emotion. So be careful when making financial decision. Wag lang puso, kailangan utak. And finally, check your risk profile. Pag bata ka pa, masyado kang konserbatibo, sayang yung opportunity. So be conscious with your risk appetite, and you can afford to be risky if you're very young.
Right. Now, FOMO and YOLO may not necessarily be bad all the time. Used in proper context, pwede di ba? Fear of missing out on retirement planning. Pwede yun, di ba? That can be good. You only live once. So ibig sabihin now is you only live once. You're only young once. So now is the best time to really start preparing for your future. I like it when you said dream of your retirement. What would you like to happen? Visualize it, but also making sure that you're able to make sound decisions, right, in preparing for your dream retirement. Now, next naman yung question ko will be for the two of you. No, I'd like to get your thoughts for those people who are already experiencing their retirement. No, they are currently retirees, di ba? What advice will you give them so that yung mga retirees po natin ngayon will continue to live in comfort and live a life with dignity? Maybe we can start with Miss J naman.
Okay, siguro sa akin unang-una, avoid natin yung, I think na-mention to ni Mr. Ivy kanina, no? Avoid living yung sinasabi nilang, millionaire for a day. Okay, yung Oo, no? Kasi marami tayong narinig niya, no, na yung retirement fund naubos in 2 years, in 3 years, no, because talagang sige-sige, no, talagang nagbuhay milyonaryo, no. So we really have to continue to learn how to manage yung funds natin, kasi kung hindi talagang madali rin siyang mauubos, no. Second, as much as possible, let's find a way how we can still grow our money, no. Let's find a way na makaka-earn pa rin yung money natin para mas ma-extend yung buhay, no, nung funds natin. But having said that, we still have to be very careful, no, in choosing where to put our money, no, kasi marami na rin tayong narinig ng mga horror stories, no, yung mga scams, yung mga naghangad ng pag may nag-offer sa inyo naman 20%, 30% interest now, medyo kabahan kayo, no. In the market today, walang instrument na matino, okay, na legal na makakapagbigay sa atin ng ganon. So let's be worry about this, no. Also, yung sabi nga ni Mr. Ivy, yung ating risk appetite natin, no. Kahit na mataas ang risk appetite mo, pero kung ikaw ay papunta na sa twilight years, be very careful also kung saan natin ilalagay yung fund natin, no. So hindi na tayo masyado dun sa mga risky funds, no, kahit na legitimate yung companies, okay, pero yung fund naman medyo risky, medyo iwasan na rin natin yan. Doon na tayo sa konti lang ang ikita, pero at least, no, mas protektado yung principal mo, kasi nga retired ka na eh. So medyo dapat careful na tayo sa nilalagyan natin ng pera. At pangatlo, yung careful din tayo kung ano yung mga businesses na uumpisahan natin, di ba? Kasi minsan pag nakakuha ka ng pera, gusto mo mag-start up ng business, wala ka namang alam doon sa business na yon. No, marami rin tayo naririnig, di ba? Down the drain yung kanilang retirement fund, no? In one click kasi nag-fail, no, yung business nila. So be very careful. So in short, i-manage pa rin natin yan. At yung pangatlo, which is very, very important, no, let's continue to engage ourselves with activities that will make us physically and mentally active. Kasi ito yung na-experience ng isang retiree, no? Hindi lang pera yung importante rito. Kailangan handa ka rin. Ano yung gagawin mo? Kasi totoo to, Jenny, no? Kasi sanay tayo nagtatrabaho eh. Pag suddenly, bigla kang tumigil, wala kang gagawin, yung utak mo, wala kang may isip na gagawin for the day, alam mo, mas stressful yon kaysa sa nagtatrabaho, no? So marami tayong naririnig nakakasakit, no, kapag nag-retire na sila. It's because hindi na sustain, no, yung kanilang pagiging mentally and physically active. So dapat natin gawin yon para happy life pa rin tayo at hindi tayo grumpy. Okay? Kasi kapag bored tayo, kapag wala tayong nagagawa, no, na productive, no, magiging grumpy tayo. We have worked so hard for so many years. When we retire, it's our time to smell the roses, diba? And enjoy the things around us, no, the people around us. So let's just be happy as a retiree.
Thank you, Ms. Jem. Sure, ang dami pong makukuha na, no, na lessons, insights from what you've shared coming from our retirees who are listening sa atin pong conversation today. How about you, Sir Ivy? Any words for our retirees that would help them live comfortably still, no? That they'll be able to sustain their way of life or standard of living po?
Well, number one, take good care of your health. Kasi you cannot do what you want and enjoy your other interests like traveling kapag meron kang sakit, right? So very important yun. So get enough sleep, exercise, right diet. Kasi lalo na medical expense, pag tinamaan ka nito, pwedeng maubos lahat ng iyong retirement fund. Pangalawa, spend time with family and friends. Lalo na ako, dami kong utang sa kanila kasi panay ang biyahe namin ni Jay dati, ha? So ngayon talagang nagbabayad ako ng utang ko in terms of hours, and then I also reconnect with relatives and friends, no? Pangatlo, tama yung sinabi ni Jay, you have to take good care of your money. Ako, I do I create a spending plan. Others, magkano yung gagastusin ko? And tapos I review my financial condition quarterly. Lalo na ngayon, di ba, may inflation, may impending recession. Kasi ayaw nating maubos yung pera natin agad, no? And finally, which we are doing through Leaders in Action. We're trying to give back our experience, our knowledge, kasi based on what we have experienced thus far, giving back is a sense of joy and pride, no, while you are retired.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Actually, both of you had similar answers. No, take care of your health, connect with family, relatives, and even friends. Take good care of the money that you worked so hard for, and at the same time, give back, no, to society to make sure that you're able to live a life of purpose. No, wow, this has really been very insightful, not only for our audience, but definitely for me as well. You gave us insights about our retirement system here in the Philippines. We talked about that earlier. You also both generously shared your retirement planning journey with us, no? And we also talked about how our worries, no, on inflation and recession will impact our retirement plans, but most importantly, what we need to do to mitigate this and also, no, address yung atin pong mga fears related to both inflation and recession. While our objective is really to exhort many to work on their retirement goals, you also shared your insights on how our retirees can continue to live a comfortable life. So thank you, no, to both of you for paving the way for this conversation that truly a lot can learn from. So we are already at the tail end of our program. Sobrang bilis po ng oras natin today. But I'd also like to take this opportunity to congratulate you both, Sir IB and Miss J, for giving us 5 seasons and about 60 episodes of inspiring and beautiful success stories of Filipino leaders. Wow, who could have thought? I remember still vividly the initial conversations you were having about, coming up with this kind of a platform. So definitely Leaders in Action has gone a long way, Sir IB. If we can just zero in on season 5, what for you are the highlights of that season?
Actually, Jen, every story is unique and has a very special message na pwede talagang ma-inspire, no, sa mga leaders. But what is common and which I find inspiring, no, is that they always find a way to overcome the challenges they face. Yung bang their ability to bounce back. And I'm also happy to hear from them about yung constant focus nila on people and their desire to transform the lives of people. While sinasabi nila, accountable naman kami sa results or sa production, sa premium, sa ganyan, sinasabi nila, they put their people first and they really take to heart their commitment to build the lives of their people, no? And I'm also pleased with the diversity of our guests. Actually, si Jay ang mahilig maghanap ng mga guests. So thank you to Jay on that, no? Because not just from the different life companies, but in terms of their stories, tapos sa age, meron din pagkakaiba sa tenure, experience, the barriers that they are breaking and the efforts that they exert to be successful, no? So I am just thankful to all of our guests for their generosity, no, in sharing the real stories.
Yeah, and thanks to both of you for creating this platform that allows leaders to share their stories with us. And again, I mentioned it earlier, I'm also very grateful to all the leaders who said yes to your invitation so that they'd also be able to share their inspiring journey. No, na a lot of people can really be inspired and at the same time, no, probably also apply sa buhay po nila yung lahat ng mga lessons na natutunan nila just by merely listening to those that whom you have invited. Ms. J, is there anything else that you would want to impart sa lahat po ng mga kaibigan natin sa Leaders in Action community natin?
Yes, aside from thanking everybody from our guests, no, to all our agency executives, no, who been generously recommending and connecting us with their leaders, and of course, no, pasasalamat sa ating mga audience, no, sa ating mga listeners, viewers natin. So salamat po sa inyong lahat. But you know, Jenny, there's still a lot of untold and unheard stories of successful Filipino agency leaders natin. So we would want to enjoin everybody, no, not just our agency executives, mga colleagues natin, but everybody who has been a part of Leaders in Action to be our partner in having their stories, no, be heard on this platform. Marami na tayong narinig, marami na po tayong natutunan, but still, marami pa tayong kwento pwede pang marinig, no, at from which we can learn from. So, sana lahat kayo ay maging partners namin. No? Please do recommend to us yung mga stories na gusto nyong mabida natin dito, marinig at makapulutan ng aral ng ating mga fellow leaders natin sa industriya.
And we are all definitely excited and we are looking forward to your forthcoming episodes. And to excite yung atin pong mga Leaders in Action friends, what can our audience expect for 2023, which, by the way, will just be a few blinks away? Sir IB and Ms. D, this has been really an amazing evening. I really enjoyed talking to both of you. Pero ano nga po ba, no, are the things that we can look forward to sa atin pong 2023 na mga episodes?
Well, Jen, kanina sinabi mo we had about 60 episodes already, no? But there are more than 1,000 agency leaders. And as Jay mentioned, amongst those over thousands, there are a lot of inspiring stories, no? The nice and exciting thing about leadership is that there are so many facets about it, diba? So for the next season, we will continue to discover and explore the many forces that make a great leader. Of course, as we've mentioned, we will invite and hear the stories from our own leaders in the industry as they continue to grow the business and contribute, no, in protecting more Filipinos. But we will also invite those from other fields to share valuable lessons and present different perspective. And in terms of format, we'll try to find a better way to make it fresher and crispier. So we hope, no, both in terms of content and form, it'll be even better. And we look forward again to be joined by our friends in Leaders in Action.
Yeah, exciting days ahead, Sir IB and Ms. J. As I mentioned kanina, this really has been an amazing evening. I had a great time being part of your conversation. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of Leaders in Action. More success to you both and to your advocacy.
Yes, thank you also, Jenny, for agreeing to be our special guest interviewer for tonight. No? So, nag-enjoy din kami, no, sa ating usapan ngayon. So, all the best to you, Jenny, to your family, and to your team, no, this 2023, and enjoy your holiday break.
Thank you. You both as well.
And we want to thank again everyone for being with us. Tandaan natin that time flies so fast, so make each moment count, no? And may all of you have a blessed holiday season ahead. And we will see you again next year here in Leaders in Action.
Real leaders.
Real stories.
And real talk.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
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 Thank you, Jenny.
Bye.
Bye.